Now, if you can't Zuban Sambhal ke, then you better watch out, because Mohandas and Karamchand could be on your trail. And if you think you can hide behind a neem ka ped, then all I can say is, Jane bhi do yaro. And if all of that is perplexing and confusing, don't worry. The Link is my guest today. He's the one and only, the inimitable Pankaj Kapoor. Welcome to the program, Pankaj.
Hi.
Or should I say, Mr. Musadilal?
I'd rather be called Pankaj.
It is an incredible name, Musadilal. Who dreamt it up?
I would think the writer himself. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's become Office, a real television success. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it such a runaway success?
Well, we do sometimes ask ourselves, and I think the main reason behind it is that it relates to the common man. I mean, all of us, including us sitting here, are people who are confronted with the kind of problems that Office is talking about, with a bit of humor in it, which is always pleasant for the audiences to watch. I think this is majorly the reason behind its success.
But does it ever hurt you that the joke is always on you every single week?
Sometimes it does, yes, that's a fact.
You won the Videocon Screen Best Actor Award last year for your role as Musadilal.
Yeah.
Were you expecting it, or was it a surreal surprise?
No, I wasn't expecting it at all, frankly, because if you ask me, then I don't think the part that I'm playing in Office is a great performance. It's an interesting part.
But it's a catalytic role.
Yes, it is. It is the central role. It is what I like about it is that I represent the common man, but it's not a
bit like the
performance.
Lakshman cartoon figure.
I would think so, yes.
Except that you always force others to be funny, and it's very difficult to play that role where you have to restrain yourself and yet give the liberty to others.
Yeah, sometimes as an actor I feel that I have less to do in it, frankly, but from director's viewpoint, when I look at it, I feel that because I am somebody who's on the receiving end, and it's this person who is on the receiving end who is actually going to create humor for the audiences, therefore I say, all right, fine.
Let's go back to the beginning. How much of your love of acting is actually born of the games your mother used to make you play when you were a child?
I think it very, very important. Those games are very, very important because we used to have plenty of time at hand, and I would say that it was great on my mother's part to bring all these children together and make us do these small little things, which I think created a great impression on my mind. And
these small little things were actually impromptu plays that she would make you perform?
Absolutely. I mean, she would create a story, she would create the characters, and she would give us parts, and she was not partial, which is great. I mean, it's not as if I was playing the central part in each play or each little anecdote that she was making us do, but I think the very activity created a lot of impression on my mind, and that's where I started wanting to act. And then, in a very sort of cliched way, frankly, like most of the actors say that I started acting when I was in school, but unfortunately or fortunately, that's what happened to me. I mean, once I went to school, I was acting through till I went to college, and which sort of shows that this little activity which started at home when we were not going to school actually substantiated itself into my becoming a professional
actor. But it
actor.
wasn't just your mother, was it? Because your father used to read Sherlock Holmes to you, and you're probably best known today as a detective on TV.
Well, unfortunately so. Unfortunately in terms of being known only as a detective, but fortunately that my father used to read out Sherlock Holmes. I remember those evenings, you know, winter in a place like Ludhiana, Punjab, and we had a small kitchen in which my mother used to make these delicious pakoras, and my father would sit next to us and would narrate not only Sherlock Holmes, he narrated Shakespeare to us, to Sherlock Holmes, Father Brown, whole lot of world literature.
This was the English language professor coming out.
That's right, that's right. So I was introduced to all this kind of literature when I was very young. I must be maybe 7 or 8 when we used to hear these stories, and it must have carried its impression on my mind, surely.
Were you a very close-knit family?
Very, very close-knit family, yes.
Although there are big gaps between your brother and your sister and you.
Yeah, as we sometimes used to ask our parents why so, and they said we wanted each child to get full attention.
Now, one of the things the family always did together was to spend its holidays in the hills in summer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the holiday in Pahalgam?
Every holiday I remember, practically. I mean, every year, actually, we used to go for about a month and a half. Pahalgam was the favorite, of course. And I would also say that this was great on my father's part because a man who was just a professor in a college could afford to take his family for a month and a half to hills and make them stay there. I think it was great in terms of learning, in terms of opening up one's mind, coming close to nature, uh, permitting your mind to grow beyond what you were being exposed to just in a small town like Ludhiana.
But it was also a lot of fun a lot of the time. I gather there was one occasion in Pahalgam when you were petrified that wild animals were going to eat you all up.
Yes, that's true. That was when I was about 16 years of age, and my father decided that we are going to go to Kolhai glaciers. Now this is the other side of Pahalgam. On one side is Amarnath and the other side is Kolhai glaciers, which is almost as high as Amarnath is. And we set out on this journey, and on the way there is a place called Lidarwat where we were supposed to stay the night. And there was a little guest house, you know, two room kind of guest house where we stayed the night. And I was 16 and I was at the threshold of being a man. So I didn't want to sort of reflect or tell anybody that I was scared, but it was about 2 a.m. in the morning and I heard some kind of sound outside the hut. And the chowkidar in that place had already told us that at night sometimes you might find a bear coming or a tiger coming or something. So I was petrified, but I didn't want to sort of show that, you know, I was petrified. So I woke up my father quietly and I said, can you hear this voice, you know, there seems to be something outside. And he was a little scared too. So both of us lit a candle because there was no light. We lit a candle and we were amazed to see that whatever food we had brought, there were about 24 rats eating that food, which is what was making the noise. And we actually, all of us actually laughed at the whole incident.
Now, the big change actually happened when you joined the National School of Drama. I think it was 1973, it was the Al-Qazi period.
That's right.
Was he a big influence?
Great influence, I would say. A great teacher. And I'm also grateful to him because he paid a lot of personal attention to me. Because he saw me coming from a background which was an educated kind of background. He admired my father greatly. My father admired him greatly.
In fact, it was your father who introduced you. He did the research to discover the place.
That's true, that's true. Because the only place I knew was the Film Institute, where I was selected in the audition but rejected in the screen test.
You were too short, by the way. Isn't that right?
Well, I think so. Or whatever were the reasons, I really don't know. But yes, I was rejected in the screen test. But I was selected in the school drama. And I was really, really fortunate because if I had gone to the Film Institute at that time, I was just 19 and very impressionable age. And if I had gone to Film Institute, maybe the path I would have chosen, or I wouldn't have been the kind of actor or the way I think about acting today. I couldn't have thought about it like that.
Your sister says that you became serious, dedicated and disciplined at the NSD.
Yes, I did. And I think a great influence of Mr. Al-Qazi happened there, surely.
I mean, he whipped you into shape.
No, not really whipped me, but sort of guided me gently.
You had a very close relationship with the NSD, which lasted for several years, but there was a period when you broke away and tried to set up your own company, which didn't really succeed.
Yeah, see, once I passed out of School of Drama, I was, because I was very young, I was very active, and I wanted to do a lot of roles in a year's time, you know, a lot of plays. And after passing out of School of Drama, I joined the National Repertory Company, where in about 6 months I was playing one tiny part. And one had, by the 3rd year, got used to doing a lot of roles and different kinds of roles. So I was not feeling satisfied in the company, so I decided to come out. There were 5, 6 of us who decided to open a theatre group. And so I resigned from the School of Drama and I came out and I joined our theatre group. But surprisingly, all the other people joined the company.
They went right back.
That's true. No, they were already outside.
Okay.
I was the only one who was there in the company.
So you went out and they went in.
I came out and they went inside. So I was left all alone outside. For about a year and a half I did freelancing. And then I realized that outside in Delhi at that time especially, there was not much professional theatre that was happening. And my own performances were becoming substandard. So I thought that I should rather work in a place which can at least assure you of a certain standard of work, which is why I decided to go back to the company. So I went back and I stayed in the company for about 4.5 years.
Right up till 1981, in fact. But then there was another rift, wasn't there? This time over Attenborough's Gandhi.
That's right. I mean, we were told, Mr. Attenborough was here in India, and we were told that this is a very prestigious film which is being made. It is about the father of the nation. So if Mr. Attenborough decides to choose any actor from the repertory company, he will be permitted to act in this film. And fortunately, he chose me in a very tiny part, which was Gandhiji's second secretary, Pyare Lal. And we got the permission to act in the film. And after I had worked in half of the film, repertory decided to go to Goa for a tour. and I was told to come and join them, and I told them that I am working in this film for which you have given me the permission. They said our commitment is to theatre and not to cinema, and I was very, very amazed, because here were people who were responsible, people who have been working in theatre and in cinema for years, and they know that there cannot be an understudy in cinema. And I have a written agreement with these people, with the permission of.
It sounds almost as if someone was trying to teach Attenborough a lesson or get back at him.
I really don't know, or maybe get back at me, for all you know.
You felt victimized?
I did, yes. They asked me to resign, I refused to, and then they eventually threw me out, for which Mr. Attenborough did feel very bad. And
so the NSD years ended rather sadly?
I wouldn't say sadly, I would say it was one of the experiences. Probably this was something which had to happen. If it hadn't happened, maybe I would not be in cinema, I would not be in television at all, because I was quite satisfied working as a theatre actor.
So it was, in a sense, looking back, a fortunate break. It pushed you into things that you may never have done otherwise.
Absolutely, I would think so.
Of course, one of the things that it pushed you into very quickly was the dubbing of Ben Kingsley in Hindi. I gather you got the role after the strangest of auditions.
Well, in a way, yes. I mean, initially about 450 people were auditioned. I was one of them. And then later, I believe, that's what I was told, that Mr. Attenborough consulted a lot of people and they came up with my name. And then he called me over to this studio, where he asked me to give an audition, and I said, look, I don't have a Hindi speech with me, or do you have, if you have prepared the speeches of Gandhi in Hindi, I should be given about a week in advance. He said, no, I would like you to dub one of the scenes in English, because I don't understand Hindi, so I'd like you to dub in English. And I was totally stunned, because I said that this is something that I have never done. And they played a scene which was one of the most difficult scenes, where Gandhiji is going through, you know, he's not eating anything, and his voice is in a very difficult phase of, in terms of, I mean, for an actor to project that. And that's what they made me dub, and I told him that you should give me this, at least give me a week's time to prepare this.
And he gave you a couple of minutes instead.
That's right. But fortunately, when we dubbed, and I told him that I'd like to do it tomorrow again, he said, no, let's hear it. And I was quite surprised myself that things were working pretty well, and it's there and then that he decided that
you were going to be the Hindi voice of Ben Kingsley.
That's right, yes.
In fact, that was the point at which an amazing career began. Let's take a break, Pankaj. I want to come back in part 2 and talk about the career that was just about to open for you.
Sure.
We'll be back in a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is Pankaj Kapoor. Pankaj, let's talk about your career. With Gandhi under your belt, so to speak, you must have had great expectations when you set off for a career in Bombay.
Well, not really, because I was actually looking for just work. And fortunately, Mr. Benegal was making a film at that time, and Om Puri, a friend of mine, suggested that you go and meet Mr. Benegal. I met him and I got that film. That's how my career in Hindi films started.
You know, a lucky accident, a lucky introduction.
Yeah, I would think so.
But you went on to make some great movies like Raak, Ek Doctor Ki Maut, even Roja, and you got a couple of national awards. Why do you think you never made yourself an established film star?
See, first of all, what attracted me about cinema was an exposure that I got here in School of Drama, which was an exposure to world cinema. And that was the kind of cinema one was relating to when one decided to go down to Bombay and live there and work in films. Not that I have anything against the mainstream cinema, but in all these years, the mainstream cinema never offered me the kind of parts I was looking for, or the kind of directors I was looking for. And I was always very, very scared about getting typecast.
Were you in fact worried that the roles that were on offer didn't challenge you, didn't stretch you?
Yes, in a way, yes, that's true. The other was, as I said, that I was very scared of getting typecast. That was one of the major reasons of my working in television more than working in cinema. There were offers, it's not as if they were not offers, but they were not worthy.
In fact, you didn't take any of them up, and there came a stage when you were practically flat broke.
That's true. But I look upon that phase very positively, because that phase gave me an opportunity to start reflecting, to start thinking. I used to have sittings with a lot of friend directors where I learned a bit of writing, and in the later years afterwards, these free periods were used for sitting down and writing a bit of stuff. You know.
Television, of course, changed everything for you, because although films didn't work, television did in a huge way. But this amazing career began, I'm told, over a cup of coffee at the Prithvi Theatre.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we were doing a play and I was sitting and having a cup of tea when Pankaj Parashar walked up to me and he said that he wants me to act as the main character in his series which he's planning to make.
Did you know each other, or was he just coming to you right out of the blue?
No, I think we were just introduced as he's somebody from the Film Institute and he knew that I'm from School of Drama. And I told him that I'm not interested in working in television series at that time, frankly.
So you turned it down?
Yes, I turned it down. And then I rethought because I was totally broke. I had no money and I had no work either. And nothing was happening in theatre as well. So I told him, give me a month to think about it. He said, all right. I went back to him and I told him, okay, fine. If you give me an opportunity to work on the part the way I would think is right for that part, he said, okay, we'll work on it mutually.
So even in your moment of desperation, you were being picky and choosy?
Well, honestly, yes, that's true. That's true.
The role, of course, turned out to be Karamchand. Not only did it make your career, it set off a whole lot of detective serials on TV.
Yeah.
Looking back, was it fun?
Doing it was fun, yes. I remember...
Living it down thereafter?
I remember for about first 4 or 5 episodes, there were write-ups and there were people who were criticizing this performance, saying that, ask this guy to stop scratching his head, you know. And you won't believe, we have just done 39 episodes of that series, and even today sometimes, people remember me as that character and the characteristics of that part.
And when you were playing it, did you ever remember the Sherlock Holmes stories your father used to read to you?
I'm sure they must be in my subconscious.
So Arthur Conan Doyle and those moments beside the fire in Ludhiana played a part.
Yes, definitely.
You went on to do something completely different and very serious, Neem Ka Ped. Was the challenge there the fact that you were, in a sense, consciously going against the grain of popular taste?
See, as I told you earlier, that one of the major reasons for not joining the mainstream cinema was that I don't get typecast. So I was, as an actor, looking for parts which are different, in which I can play different kinds of characters. And once I was offered this part, I was not too sure because I just read 2 episodes, screenplay, that's all. Then I went and met the writer, Rahi Masoom Raza. And it was he who convinced me that this is going to be a very, very interesting part for you to play. And that's how it happened, and I just took it up because it was a major kind of challenge for me in a different way that, see, you are speaking Awadhi. Okay, Hindi is all right, but I was speaking Awadhi, which is a totally alien language to me, frankly. I am from Punjab. It took me a lot of time to correct my Hindi when I was in School of Drama. And then to go into a dialect like Awadhi, that was a great, great challenge for me in terms of, one in terms of speech and the other in terms of the kind of character which one hardly sees in today's times. It was actually a character from the 40s.
You know, you keep talking about challenges and you keep talking about the need to stretch yourself and not being typecast. Do you like challenges? Do you look for them?
I love them and I really look forward to them.
And is that in a sense what you've missed out in films and in TV perhaps?
Greatly at times.
Because the image people have of you is of an extremely talented, serious actor, and they sometimes say that he's perhaps lost in a world of TV popularity and mediocrity.
What is the choice? On one hand, you have the mainstream cinema in which you are going to be typecast. On the other hand, you try and choose as much as possible better kind of parts, better kind of directors, better kind of scripts, but the medium of television in itself, pardon my saying so, pushes you to become mediocre, because when you are expected to give a performance for every week where the channel is not sure whether they're going to run this program beyond 4 weeks from now or not, what is an actor supposed to do, or what is the director or what is the producer supposed to do?
You're also suggesting that it's not easy at all to be a TV actor, particularly when you're chasing ratings.
No, it is not.
How much of Pankaj Kapoor's talent as an actor remains unfulfilled, or at least unseen by us?
I would imagine a great deal.
And will we ever get to see it?
God knows.
Does that cause you pain, or at least regret?
See, what I would say is that I have individually as a person tried to find ways and means of communicating that creative urge that exists within me. One, as an actor, where I could not succeed or I could not get opportunities to perform the kind of parts I would have loved to perform, I got into writing. Now once you write a script, you start feeling that this is the part that you can maybe play in that, not that when you were writing it you were thinking that this is the part that you're going to play. But after writing it, maybe if there's a part that you suit perfectly, and yet sometimes you feel that the producers or the channels or the people who put in money, for that matter, are people who are looking for glamour more than the performance or the ability or the substance of an actor which can actually give life to that character. They're looking for just a popular face rather than the ability of a performance.
Is this why you chose to write and direct Mohandas yourself?
Yes, in a way, yes.
And do you think you're going to go further down that road? Because I know one of your ambitions is to direct your own film, and I know you have a couple of scripts ready and waiting.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in case I find a financier who thinks the way I do.
How much of a problem is that?
Well, I haven't really tried very much, to be very honest. I haven't met too many people. But as I said, the funniest part is that people are looking for only glamour and names, even though we need to realize today, frankly, about 400 or 500 films a year are made in our country, and just 2 or 3 of them do well.
You know, I listen to you speak, and I get the impression not only, as you said, that there's a great deal of your talent that we haven't seen, but then there must also be a great deal of frustration because opportunity to show that talent is lacking.
Well, I wouldn't say frustration, because I was fortunate, as I told you, that I could sort of put my creativity into something else. So in that sense, like, writing is something nobody could stop me from doing. I mean, at the end of the day, when I have written a story or I have written a screenplay or I have written a film, it's a great satisfaction that you have, even if it never gets made.
But do you bang your head on the wall when you can't find a financier, or if it's not easy to find a financier for the film you want to make, which you believe in?
Yes, but I have not been really pushy about it. I have not really started working around that as yet.
So when does the film take over and become your priority number one?
I would say soon.
Soon means it is the next serious project.
That's right.
And when can we expect to see it?
That that depends a lot. As I said, if I do find a financier, because I'm somebody who would want to make it the way I want to make it.
No compromise.
No compromise. Yes, and because that's how it will be credible, and that's how the people who are watching it will be able to believe in what is being shown to them. You know, to make it absolutely believable, the way it should be. That's how I would put it.
And the film, in a sense, will be your last testament, to use that phrase, perhaps out of context.
Well, maybe.
Well, on behalf of millions of your fans, let's hope you find the financier quickly and you move to make that film, because we are very anxious to see it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Pankaj, for talking to me.
Thank you. Thanks.